All right, here we are live. We're broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. This is I've been calling it the Triple J Show. You got Jacob, Jonny, and then me, the old guy, John. Tonight, we're going to let's talk about President Trump a little bit. Let's talk about it looks like this impeachment sham is going, and let's see what our thoughts, your thoughts, everybody's thoughts are on what it's going to do for the re-election in 2020. Welcome, guys.
Hey.
What's going on, everybody? So, the hurdles he has to overcome for re-election 2020, guys, and boy, he's got his work cut out for him, even though he's done a really good job.
He does, but I don't see any candidates that are even close to beating him. And to be honest with you, everything is the guys told us when he got elected that eventually we're going to get sick of winning because there's going to be so much winning. And honestly, that's what I've seen lately with this impeachment process. It seems like every time they throw grenades at him, he's able to throw back a nuclear bomb. And I don't know, just real quick to touch on this. Did you guys hear about all the stuff happening with Hunter Biden? And that prostitute who came out and come to find out that she had his child. But now she's like requesting all this stuff from him. And she's even requesting his last 5-year tax returns.
Right.
And you know that the Republicans and Donald Trump are like, yes, let's see this. We'll pay you money for those,
Yeah.
And so it's just like, how does it get like the crow that the liberals, the Democrats are having to eat right now over and over and over and over again? Because I want to say it was Representative Gates, I want to say, but he was trying to bring up to those guys during the impeachment hearings. He's like, you guys do realize that once this goes to the Senate, that they're going to get to subpoena witnesses. They're going to out your whistleblower. They're going to interrogate your freaking shift. Like, you do realize the ball's going to be in their court. So as soon as you proceed with this, you can't stop what's going to happen after this. And it was like the first time I'd heard that said out loud. And I was just thinking, yeah, like, you don't realize they're going to start questioning all your buddies here? Like, this is getting ready to get ugly for you.
Without a doubt. I think it's only helping them. It seems to be the public consensus at this point in the game that it's all a sham, and people are getting tired of it. From what I'm hearing across the board, you've got this very staunch, maybe paid anti-Trumpers out there protesting and making a big voice. That's what they do. They get out there and make a big voice, But I think overall, it's benefiting the 2020 election. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, both you guys brought up that that prostitute is that's something else. And Jonny, you brought up a great point, and they can when impeachment goes to the Senate, they can subpoena anybody they want. It's tempting, they can get anybody they want. It's dead on arrival. And what these Democrats don't realize, they're so short-sighted that once they're in power, let's say the Senate, they can do the same thing they're doing to Trump. These people don't think beyond like the immediate circumstances. They're like dogs with treats in front of them. Like, they can't think. They don't have the ability to think beyond like their immediate circumstances. It's just crazy, man. There's like this Trump effect. Somebody tries to screw with him, and it's like there's like this magical like hexen that gets casted on that person, and just bad shit starts happening.
Well, have you seen that? There's like this viral video going around on YouTube and Facebook where people were stealing dudes' packages, and when they open them, it like poop explodes all over them, right? Well, I want to use that as like what's happening here with the Democrats. With their impeachment that they pushed forward through the House, okay, was like an early Christmas present to these liberals or these never Trumpers. But what the problem is after Christmas, they're going to have to open that exploding shit box. And the next thing you know, they're going to be like, whoa, like, wait a second. We didn't want the whistleblower to come out. Like, why is Schiff even talking? Like, oh my God, this is, and Donald Trump's just going to be just sitting over there winning. And I'm sorry, but it's just, there's got to be a point, though, and this is what I don't understand. How many times do they have to eat crow? How many times they have to look bad? I mean, between the Russia hoax, this, and then and the many different forms that the impeachment has become, between quid pro quo to just everything. Like there's a whole list of things that it turned into before it finally just became obstruction of, Congress or whatever. But the bottom line for me is it's just like, when are they going to stop? And I think they are, though, because, again, like we say, Donald Trump's numbers are coming up. He's polling a lot higher. His approval ratings are going up. When are they going to stop and realize that this is damaging their cause? This is literally hurting them. And then now, because of all the stuff between the prostitute and the baby and Burisma Holdings and et cetera, Biden, which Biden and Clinton's are like the same, thing at this point, because they think they're untouchable, but it's crumbling around them. When are they going to stop to realize that this stuff is just damaging them? And it's going to damage Joe Biden's presidency too. The further we start digging into this, Hunter Biden stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't resist. I had to put that up because it goes right along with what we're all saying. It's like it's one shift show right after another, and it only the laws only pertain to the right. They don't apply to the left. And so
Well, and when Schiff gets in front of the Senate and they start asking him questions. Now, I've watched the debates in the House, and we've got some pretty hard hitters. But once you start getting into the Senate, you've got some guys that are just hardcore. And I think Schiff is going to fold like a piece of paper, because if you guys have been watching this, Adam Schiff even came out after he stopped going to the impeachment meetings. And he said that I'm basically going to just vote for the impeachment of Trump based on what my side says. So he's kind of basically backtracking on whether he wants him to be impeached or not. But then you're going to take this same bulgy-eyed, freaking saggy-faced Adam Schiff, put him in front of these guys, and they're going to start interrogating him, and he's going to fold like a piece of paper. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be good for them. They're not going to like the outcome of. They're not going to want to have to eat the shit sandwich that they just prepared for themselves. Like, they're not going to want to have to eat this, and that they're going to have to.
Yeah, it's this is going to get really interesting. We're talking, I can't wait till they start subpoenaing witnesses. But people like Lindsey Graham and McConnell, they've been saying they probably won't. They're just going to basically say, the hell with it. But they should. It's so tempting, like you just alluded to, Johnny. It's so tempting. They should subpoena all these witnesses like Schiff, Hunter Biden, and everybody, and really hammer them down and question them. And man, they could expose all this crap. I mean,
I think it wouldn't take very long before they could even get Hunter Biden just to say, Hunter, look, you're a bad person. And he'd be like, if you watch his interview, because he just I kind of am kind of a shitty person, like, really. And, it'd just be funny to watch him, just like you said, Jake, just because he's on the verge of breaking down. Like, well, Hunter, do you think you would have gotten those jobs if it wasn't for your dad? And he's like, well, I guess not. Really.
Probably not.
My last name, I guess not.
Hey, answer me in Ukrainian. Say that. Answer me in Ukrainian, Hunter Biden.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just nutty, man. And with this whole Inspector General farce too, Horowitz came out. Oh yeah, there was nothing wrong, and then Bill Barr and then John Durham are like, no, there is stuff wrong. So now there's going to be an infighting between those guys. So that's going to be interesting too. And I think Trump will wind up getting involved in that now.
Well, I think that you make a good point there. That's probably why they'll throw the impeachment stuff completely out, is because they're sitting on a much larger scale problem. Like, it's like a PR disaster for the United States government. So I think that they probably won't even go into this. And they've said it before. I've heard it a couple different times. As soon as it hits the Senate, it's gone. Like, there's not even actual evidence of Trump doing anything. This is, I hate him, and you better hate him too. That's all it amounts to. But what you're talking about now, which is already from what I assume was with the Senate, and they're kind of going through a lot of this with Barr and all these guys. This is pretty big. And I don't know that the government's going to want this to get too much traction, Because I mean, once, like, say you own a company and you find out that your company is a corrupt pile that's done all this terrible stuff, you're not going to want that to go very far. I mean, I at least don't think they will, but I guess we'll just have to see. But this made the FBI look pretty bad.
Kind of made them all look kind of bad.
Yeah.
Not kind of. It's made them all look really bad. Just today, and I should have captured it, but somewhere on my scrolling, I was bored today. It was kind of nasty, and so I was online quite a bit. But just today again, I saw another Democrat, and I can't remember Congress something, but anyway, they're folding. They're changing they're throwing their blue hats away and putting on red ones. They're like, this is crazy. This is not what I signed up for. And, and they're backing out of their own party and switching gears. They're switching sides, so, and it's happening more and more all the time where you got Democrats saying, man, I was a staunch Democrat and I am not anymore. I'm lost all faith. I'm done.
Yeah, what's interesting is now Pelosi's trying to primary. She's threatening all the Democrats who vote against impeachment. She's threatening to primary them. Oh, we will primary all your districts, meaning they're going to find some opponent, some far left advocate or whatever that supports their cause. She's threatening to primary anybody that goes against. Like, man, talk about groupthink. Jesus,
I love it. I love it though, because it's more Donald Trump winning. When people hear this kind of stuff,
it's true. It is.
The friends, all this stuff, they're like, okay, well, now I don't agree with you. Like, now I kind of don't agree with you anymore. And that's what we need. Is we just need more of this crap. Because if you think about it, even on, what was it, the day they were voting on the impeachment stuff, the next thing you know, they passed that deal with the U.S. Mexico trade deal stuff that they had, which was a Donald Trump thing. So they gave him 2 wins in one day. 2 freaking wins in one day. And it's just like, and the more they're I think that the Democrat Party, this is just my personal theory, so bear with me for a second. My family were Democrats for a long, long time. And a lot of my family still don't think Clinton did too terrible of a job. I mean, he did like first-time home buyer stuff, almost had us completely out of debt. The thing about it is they have just changed so radically. There is no conservative Democrats anymore. There is no conservative even leaning, and it's changed into a whole nother thing. But the old base of the Democrat Party, like the people who are in the House or in the Senate or any of that stuff, they've allowed these Ocasio-Cortezes to come in. They've allowed these people to come in and radically change the party. So it's very easy to get caught up in it when you're watching TV 24/7. You're watching CNN, all these different MSNBC and all this stuff. You get caught up in it. But then after a minute, they start saying some stuff that's just like, wait, like, this is kind of going a little too far. What would Grandpa think of this? Or what would my father, And I think Democrats are actually turning. I think that, what are you calling it? Red pilling them? Like, they're changing quick. They're starting to realize that maybe this is not all it's cut out to be. Maybe that there is something definitely wrong here. And it's because the Democrat Party is not. I mean, I like that they use, what do they call it? Social Democrats, or it's like a social. What was Bernie Sanders calling it? He had some goofy name for it. And the thing about it is that's what it is. It's not really the Democrat Party anymore, because it used to be you could get along with these people. It used to be you'd be able to have a conversation. Now it's just so far out there. It's insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. So I want to remind everybody, for those of us who are, for those people who are on the fence, like John, you mentioned a great point about how people who are Democrats, they're slowly shifting to Republican through no fault of their own. The left has gone so far left that people who were Democrats are now Republicans. This is a list of all the different accomplishments Trump's had, from foreign policy to land to immigration to economy and jobs. If anyone's interested, it's promiseskept.com, and it goes through everything. If you go on one of the links, you guys can take a look at healthcare. He's trying to do a lot, man. You guys would be amazed. See, the media doesn't even cover this stuff. It's just funny. The media doesn't even do their job. They're so busy putting the fire out on their head. Oh my God, Trump, Trump, Trump. They can't even focus on what's happening right now. It's just crazy.
When we get done, I'll reference this in on the video, so it'll be a clickable link right inside the video.
Hey, if you could real quick, John, could you open that Wikipedia I put in there? Because I want to explain this to people, because this is something that's never explained in the news and a lot of mainstream concept. I think it's time that we could bring this up. It's just open up that Wikipedia page I sent in the link, because I like people to understand what this is, like how the Democrats, when they go really, really, really far left, they're able to capture those middle people and become Democrats, and when they're really not Democrats at all. So this is called the Overton window. What it means is there's an acceptable discourse, like that little window is an acceptable discourse. You can think of more freedom, less freedom, and then if you go to the fringes, the edges, the edge effect, what happens is that is considered radical. Like, think of one end as sort of like, kingdoms and like anarcho-capitalism. The other end could be like total like totalitarianism and communism. And basically, what's going on with the Democrats, guys, is they bring all these far left people like Ilhan Omar, Tlaib. They get all these far left people, and they act like that's the whole entire party just to correct the Overton window, or just to make it seem like the whole Democratic Party is far left when they're not. They're really not like that. Yeah, and that's all I just wanted to show, is just so people have access to this, they can see for themselves. So basically what happens over time is you have these radical ideas like Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, open borders. When that becomes commonplace, acceptable discourse, that adjusts people who were once moderates closer to Democrats, all because the acceptable discourse has changed. And like Jonny made a great point, we're Democrats. The reason they're not anymore is because the Overton window went so far to the left, like, holy hell, like, you left me behind, like, where the hell? I just want to give people some visual aid there, because this is never discussed in the media, never discussed.
No, it's true. And that's just it. I talk to people constantly, and they're Democrats, but they don't, well, I'm not quite Republican, but I really kind of don't agree with a lot of this stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, but see, that's, first of all, having the conversation with people is an awesome, wonderful start, because you start to find out that we agree on more than we disagree on. Then you have to start to separate what's radical from what's not radical. And then once you start to kind of break it down, there is a Democrat Party there, but they're not being represented as that. They're being represented like this, what you're displaying right now. This is awesome. I didn't know this was here. I'm going to have to get up after we get done, go check it out myself. I mean, because it does. It explains it. It's just become so far left. And it was actually fairly quickly. I mean, really, we got a lot of young people that, that think that this has been going on for a long time, but it really hasn't. There was a time when Republicans and Democrats could get along without being shamed out of a restaurant or spit on or have your hat knocked off. We could actually have a conversation. And that was back in my lifetime, and I'm only 34 years old. It's only been recently that it's been like this, and it's gotten to such a toxic, ugly, disgusting place. And it's because I think that we have a lot of people coming into the politics as newbies, that don't really know what's going on. And they become so radicalized so quickly. And it's scary, actually. It really is. It's sad to see a lot of these people who are getting like shamed in restaurants and stuff. Like, I have my Trump hat that I have here, and I bought a couple of them. I've got a gray one and I've got my red one. Still, it's not that I don't support Donald Trump. It's just that I won't wear it to a restaurant. I am not eating somebody's spit simply because I'm wearing a hat. But is that not a sick place and time that we live in this world where I have to think that way? And to be quite honest with you, it's a 50-50 chance I'm getting a Luger dropped in my burger, dude. Serious. And so we shouldn't be in this. We as Americans should come together enough to go, hey, I'm not going to shame a veteran, because you've seen it on there. Because there was the one guy in California, I think it was San Francisco, he went into a Starbucks, and he was Jewish, and he actually had his Trump hat on, but it was over top of his deal that they wear for their religion. Yeah. And he shamed out of the restaurant because he, out of Starbucks, because he had the flipping hat on. It makes no sense to me. It's literally crazy.
It's gotten out of control is what's happened. I mean, it's like you not wanting to wear your hat because you don't want to have to beat somebody's ass. We shouldn't have to feel like that, you know. And I found this article today and I shared it. I'm going to put it up here real quick because it's pretty damn sad. This is gone. I mean, it's beyond adults. Kids are being taught to act that way. You know, this young boy, I can't remember how old he is. He's pretty young.
14. I think he was 14.
You saw that? Beaten up on the school bus over his support for President Trump.
He was put in the hospital. He was literally put in the hospital over it.
Put in the hospital over it. He had already quit wearing his Trump hat because he'd been getting crap over it. And he's very proud of his president and stuff. And so he quit wearing his Trump hat because he's getting a lot of flack over it. And he didn't even have it on this day. And they beat him into the hospital over his support for President Trump. This is 13, 14-year-old kids in school, for crying out loud.
Well, but then it's allowed. You know, we have this whole push in this country against anti-bullying, but only. I mean, because, you know, they'll justify this gal because, well, she was triggered. She was triggered because of the Trump hat, you know, and because she's of African-American descent, she was triggered. And it's like, no, a bully's a bully. Call it for what it is. You know, when I was growing up, you would still see kids wearing Confederate flag shirts to school. Dukes of Hazzard was big. You know, people wear Dukes of Hazzard stuff. Never did we ever see stuff like this. Like, never did we ever. And to be quite honest with you, I'm actually sickened by these newer generations because when I was growing up, now, racism was a real thing, and it always has been. It's not like it's just something that came out of nowhere or went away completely. But even in, like, Podunk, Evanston, Wyoming, I was never functioned around anybody who was critically racist. You know, we had friends of all colors. We all got along really well. We didn't allow anybody to be picked on for, you know, because of the color of their skin or anything else. So what was sad was in my time, right after 9/11 and everything, I never thought we were ever closer. After 9/11 happened, it seemed like everybody was so close. And we were American. We were also American at that time. We all agreed. Me and my friend Clifford Phelps joined the Marine Corps. I passed all their stuff, and I didn't tell them I have lung disease. And so anyway, they found out though, because they found out for the steroids I had. But the point is we all were Americans. It really didn't matter, and it was just so crazy to see this just tip off of racism. And at first, it just became a way to attack somebody, and now it's literally being taught to kids in schools and stuff about how racist an institution our country is. It just blows my mind because I've never seen it like that. You know what I'm saying? They're talking like it's still the early 60s or something in our country, and people are just being segregated, and it's just, and again, I'm not saying it's just that in my time frame when I was in high school, we graduated in 2003, 2004, something like that. I don't remember it. I really don't remember it. As a matter of fact, you know, we always had
it wasn't there,
stuff, but it never was anything like that whatsoever.
Mm-mm. No, it's all come about again in the last 10 years. It was, there's always has been and there always will be, but it was never to the extent that it is now. There's a lot of things that have surfaced in the last 10 years that we have not really had to deal with in our lifetime. Like the war on our police, the outrageous racism BS and stuff like that. It's gone out of control, and even like this with this kid getting beat up over his belief, his support for our president, for his president.
All of our president.
It's crazy.
All of our presidents.
Even their president, man. Even their president, and that's the funny thing about it. Not my president. Well, Cupcake, it is your president. So anyway,
man. So this entertains a theme that's been taken off the last few years. It's called the politicalization of the comments. So what's going on? It's so radical. We used to have think of the watch societies like this. There's a little politicalization is spread, and now it's going to places like Gillette ads, ice cream. We didn't see these corporate woke companies like Nike and all these different companies that are getting super, super woke and super political. And the problem is when you get political, and I'm not telling you anybody how to think, but I'm just saying, like, the problem when you're always political all the time is you're going to divide people, and you're going to have certain camps, and you're going to have all these different factions, and that's what creates polarization. And this all got normalized when the left lost. I mean, it was kind of leaking out in Obama's second term, but it really came about right after Trayvon Martin, but that whole Trayvon Martin thing, which, by the way, if, for those of you guys interested, there's a new document that proved that whole thing was there was tampering involved. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I think this guy's name's Joel. Joel Gilbert, I believe his name is. He had a theory about this, and then he lawyerly fashion, he showed how the defense, they swapped out witnesses and they did witness tampering. And anyway, to stay a long story short, the media has been so focused on creating an environment where blacks are hunted down by white people and white people are evil, and then they all go vote for the Democratic Party. But see, the regular lay public that don't get involved with politics, they don't know nothing, they see it on TV and they go, oh my God, all these racists in the closet now. You know, we need to vote Democrat to prevent these Nazis. Like, I remember when Trump got elected, I'll never forget when Trump got elected, how many of my college-educated friends were, oh, you're such a Nazi, you're such... I was so... How the hell do these people think this? Like, but what that is these are people that don't pay attention. They read media headlines. They don't actually investigate for themselves. And then they're just like little avatars, just barking little avatars for the news agencies. And that's what it comes to. So anyway, this all started with the politicalization of the commons, and people aren't doing their research and they're not doing their due diligence. You know, saying, "Oh, you know, Trump's a Hitler and this and that." Where's the concentration camp, bro? We're three years into this. Oh, he hasn't got him yet, Jake. He hasn't got him yet. It's
right.
Like, oh God.
Yeah, just
you
like
guys
his
are
moat,
pathetic.
his moat by the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, he's like the most pro-Jew president, like in world history. Like,
And
do you tell me one president that's more pro-Jew than President Trump?
Well, jump on one thing real quick. I don't mean to interrupt you, but at the same time, we all have to. All three of us can sit here and realize this, and we know this to be fact. I voted for Trump. I'm not exactly sure how you guys voted or if you did. We voted for a Democrat. Donald Trump was a Democrat. He came into this a Democrat, switched to the Republican Party, and the Democrats screwed their own candidates out of their position. Even Bernie Sanders got screwed by the Clintons. You know, that's what I'm talking about his ideas and his mentality. His ideas and his mentality has never changed. There's all these old videos on Donald Trump and him talking about this same stuff. But you heard Barack Obama talk about this same stuff. You heard all these people, even the Clintons, talk about this kind of stuff. More people were deported under Barack Obama. That's where you see that picture of the child in the cage. That was under Barack Obama. Like, it's everything's just gone so cattywampus at this point. It's just gone completely off the rails because we don't. I think that, honest to God, and I might just be kind of just being a weird conspiracy theory guy or whatever on this. I don't really believe there is a Republican or a Democrat party anymore. I think that everything's broke up into so many different little factions because look how many scumbag Republicans there are. Look how many times Donald Trump tries to do something and he has these never Trumpers fighting him on all this stuff. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Then you're sitting there like, let me just throw a name out there. Mitt Romney.
Senator of Utah.
What a scumbag.
Yeah,
I was sitting here thinking that exact thought.
He's just one of the biggest scumbags. And it's just, it blows my mind. And just like what Jake was saying, you know, I never was political. And the reason why I wasn't political is after I got out of high school, all I did was make money. I was making money. I was roughnecking. I worked for Ensign United States Drilling. By the time I was 18, I was making $27.50 an hour for them. I quit them. You don't quit a nearly $30 an hour job normally. I quit them to start a trucking company, and I was making $110 an hour plus fuel surcharge taxes on some of this stuff. Dirt, sand, and gravel, oil field. By the time I was 21 years old, I owned my own trucking company. I had 4 trucks, belly dumps, flatbeds. I had contracts with Anchor Drilling Fluids. Again, never political. I didn't have time to worry about politics. I was counting $100 bills, and I'm not trying to be cocky because I had the bitch slap of reality in 2009.
Right.
Because my business became so successful, I actually took a job where I was running a loader for Spirit Minerals up here and paying guys to drive truck for me for more money than I make now driving for Nicholas and Company. And so what happened was 2009 came, Spirit Minerals was making barite, which is like it weighs the mud down in the oil field. They went out of business and I got laid off. Who cares? Deuces. And the next thing you know, I try to go back truck driving and I'm laying off all my drivers. Then I'm picking and choosing jobs. The Texans actually started into the recession before we did. They came up, took our jobs, and jobs that at one point working for pipeline companies and stuff like that were going for $120 an hour, power only. Okay, that's a ton of money.
That is.
Those jobs dropped to $60 an hour. And you have to remember that's when diesel prices were $5 a gallon. And they had a big meeting up here because they were doing the Ruby River pipeline, and I was contracted with these guys. And they came back and they said, "Hey, we're switching companies and we're going to move on. We want to open bid." And so guys started putting open bids in this meeting room up there. And the next thing you know, you've got these guys bidding for $60 an hour. So me and like 4 or 5 other guys from Evanston were like, we refuse because we're not going to bring the wages that far down. By the end of that year, I had sold everything I owned in order just to pay the minimum here, pay the minimum there. I actually filed a full bankruptcy. So by the time I was 25 years old, I went into a full, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and I lost everything. And now, like I said, I'm truck driving. And so then is when politics became real to me, because of the snap of a finger of one man could make so much impact for all of us, and that's my biggest argument against Barack Obama. I can't say he was not my president, but obviously that's what the liberals say. He didn't represent me though. And he didn't represent my area. I would go down to the bar with my unemployment checks. There'd be 30 roughnecks sitting there, and every one of us had the same story. There were guys here in Wyoming that put a gun in their mouth and blew their head off. There was one guy up here in the valley that shot himself. He started a trucking company. He was into it, millions of dollars. And you got to think of the desperation to get to a point where it's easier to just blow your brains out than to freaking continue to lose everything, And that's when politics came to the forefront for me. And I have to be honest, the first few times I heard Donald Trump, I was like, God, this guy's kind of a clown. Like, what are we going to do here, But then after I started listening to him more and more, he was venting the frustration I was thinking. He was venting and saying the things I was thinking, because as he's saying, well, we're going to return jobs and all those coal miners are going to go back to work. The next couple days down the road, you hear Hillary Clinton on TV say, we're going to put a lot of coal miners out of work. Really? And that's how you plan to win. That's your winning strategy. Just telling people that, but look, we're going to put you out of work, but we're going to retrain you and we're going to give you new jobs. And coming from an oil field family, okay, the Pence family is just like this. And I have no shame in this. I'm oil field trash and proud. I was born off the boom money from Evanston. My dad worked for Brinkerhoff Signal on Rig 40, which is right above Smith's. They were drilling right down under Evanston right there. I was born on oil field money. The Pences would get out of high school and we would go roughnecking. That's what we did. Most people are going to college. No, I was on a drilling rig, just like my brother, my dad, my grandpa, etc. And when you tell those families, and it's same with the coal industry, you tell those people, I'm going to put a lot of you out of jobs, you develop a lot of freaking enemies really quick, because I don't want to be retrained. I want to make that money. That's my job. That's who I am. So,
yeah. Well, that's their way, though. So they want us to be government dependent, Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's, John, your story, Jonny, your story is like literally like everywhere I go. I went this summer on a little trip in the Midwest. Your story is, I heard your story 100 times. Different cities, different states. I heard it 100 times. That's why everyone's seeing these sort of old leftist states turn red. Like they're predicting Minnesota could go red. Minnesota hasn't been red in 20 to 30 years. They're predicting Minnesota might go back red. That's why Wisconsin, Michigan. Isn't that crazy? All because these politicians are so pompous and they're so caught up in their own Washington Beltway, New York, LA attitude. It's like they're so pompous in their own little world. They can't even pay attention to the people they represent. It's just so lost touch. And I want to bring up a point you mentioned about Donald Trump. If you guys listen to him back in the 80s, He's saying the same stuff he's saying today. He's saying the exact same stuff. But because the Overton window has shifted so far left, Donald Trump was a Democrat. Now he's considered conservative because, again, we went from the right all the way to the freaking left. And your points were well put, John. Well, Joe, you were right on the money. Your story is everywhere in Texas, Oklahoma, Ohio, Minnesota, freaking New York, upstate New York. Everywhere people are going through your exact same thing, making money hand over fist. They weren't political. Everything dries up. And they find out it just takes a stroke of a pen from people in Washington, or I could say a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington that have no impact on their lives. They get paid through taxpayer funds. They're insulated from market forces, so they don't give a damn. So they're done. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. It's most people that do work, they have no idea about any of this stuff. They trust CNN, and they just look at CNN and go, yeah, Orange Man bad. And you're like, dude, do you actually know anything? And I'm like, no. It's like, let me help you out, my friend.
Yeah.
Let me bring you along
here.
here.
The obvious. Yeah.
Hey guys, all you guys that are watching, welcome. Red Live, Joe Reichenberg, welcome you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. I think we've had a few comments, no questions or anything, but a few comments. So welcome you guys, and thanks for joining us. Help us out with this commentary if you like. Come on, join us.
But yeah, to go on to the impeachment thing, I honestly, this has done wonders for Donald Trump. This is pettiness at a level that the Democrats can't ignore. That's why he is gaining traction. I am so glad they did this. It brought out an ugliness to them, and the Senate's going to shoot it down. It ain't going to be nothing. It's just going to look like they're picking on him. And when they continue to do this, which they're going to continue in his next 4 years, because beyond any reasonable doubt, he will be the next president, guaranteed. And I'll say that myself. But the point being here is, the impeachment, I just don't feel like it holds much ground in any kind of reality. And because it keeps bouncing around to the point where it's becoming so petty. And if you listen to it, and I listened to hours and hours, 12 hours a day, these things were going, sometimes longer, sometimes less. I would listen to it. I just put it on my phone and I'd listen. And, all the Republicans would name X, Y, and Z. And they would name this statistic, this name, this person, this reason. Okay, the Republicans would come forward. The Democrats would always say the same thing. They would start out with, let me tell you how difficult my struggle is. I love America. That's the second point. Third point, what did he say? No one is above the law. That's how they would always finish every one of them. No one is above the law.
Yeah.
And it's just like they said the same thing over and over and over. And then they would cuss the Republicans by saying, you're coming into this with no facts. You have no facts in this. What? Like, you're not bringing anything new either. All you're bringing is false, baseless statements, basically that your feelings were hurt, and you don't like the fact that your feelings were hurt so terribly. Your feelings were hurt, and and we're supposed to just go on that.
Yeah, it's just the Democrats, they do this strategy where what they do is they gaslight you because they know the public doesn't keep informed, and then they project their own view of the world. Generally, when they accuse Trump of something, they're doing it themselves. Obstruction of justice, quid pro quo. Joe Biden was doing a quid pro quo. He was obstructing justice. Every single thing they accuse Trump of doing, they're doing themselves. But an issue we have, and that's part of why we do this podcast, is I would guess, and this is a pure guess on my part, I would guess probably half the population, they don't even keep up with this stuff because they don't even know the facts. They just turn on the news. They don't keep up with anything. Like, most people don't realize, like you mentioned, the kids in cages, that was under Obama. Hell, I'll bring up some facts here for people. He deported way more people than Trump ever could think of. Like Obama, Mr. I'm everything's wonderful. I'm Mr. Smiley Face. People don't realize that dude is the deporter in chief. Mm-hmm. Trump hasn't even hit 1 million people yet. Obama had 2.9 million. Yeah. Trump's almost done with his first. He hasn't even done 1 million yet. Obama deported a ton of people. ICE was hard and heavy at it but because the media doesn't want to report on it, they want to, play their violin and talk about how great him and Michelle are. Michelle in her arms and him and his whatever it is they choose to talk about. The media lapdogs lick up basically. But it's the part of the deal is we need to have more podcasts like this where people can be involved, because it takes people like us three to really get to our friends and our base to really spread the truth. Because man, oh man. Sorry, John, for the first link's bad. This is the next one. The link below, it's the good one. But
the last one?
Yeah, the last one, because I typed a 4 right before the link. And that's just to show people the migration policy. And this is, I'm gonna give you everyone another link too if they want to go through. This is part of the reason why the Pew Research, I've been following them for quite some time. They're predicting the reason why there's so much fracturing, there's so much like animosity and a civil unrest is because of demographic shifts. And I'm getting research. This isn't something I made up. But look at this. This is the Migration Policy Institute, and he was the deporter in chief. And this is back in 2007. This is just after he left office, and it's 2.9 million people he deported.
Yeah, well,
and the Democrats
are turning on him. They're turning on Barack Obama.
Yeah, they are.
They become so radicalized that even Barack Obama's viewpoints and stuff are too conservative for them. And like I said, yet again, we voted for a Democrat in Donald Trump. That's how far they've come in that short amount of time in the last 4 years. That's not quite even 4 years, but still in that time frame. Now they're bashing Barack Obama. Now, and because he got up and he actually said it himself, which was the only thing I've ever agreed on with that man, was the fact that this woke uprising of all these people is kind of a joke. Stop being so woke, he says.
I heard him say it.
I actually agree with that. I do agree. You're not woke. Trust me. You have no idea what being woke is.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I used to call him the pastor of the Church of Woke, because he's the one that started all this. He's the one that started all the identity politics after Trayvon Martin. After Trayvon Martin, he's the one that started, if I had a son, it'd look just like him. And he's trying to politicize people that aren't even political. And
Barack Obama
and Hillary Clinton just ramped it up a whole nother level. What's that?
I said Barack Obama and his husband.
Yeah, Michael. I mean Michelle.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at this. There's the Clintons, and you look for the Bush. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close in terms of the. Look at that.
That is insane.
Yeah.
But people won't
crazy,
research. People won't research.
No, because they don't care. Because
no, because
go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Like, somebody made this up. This isn't real. Because they're just so they're like cloud walkers, dude. They're just up there floating on their own cloud. They're gonna believe their facts. They're gonna follow their feelings before anything. They're gonna say all this is nonsense. It's all just we better have Facebook fact check this for us first, And it's like
Facebook, yeah.
That's not
this
factual.
This is from the migration policy.
That fact check isn't factual.
Yeah. The thing, this is a thing. Basically, they do the research and they publish the research. This is from the migration policy. This isn't like some BuzzFeed trash or something from Vox or Salon. Some of their garbage or the Daily Beast. They're a dude. This is garbage. You know what I love when people try to argue with me and they cite stuff like Salon, Vox, the Daily Beast, the Huffington Post. Oh man! And then you actually go to the source that's hyperlinked in like the Huffington Post. It actually their whole thesis wrong. Like doing it. But yeah, it's just back to, it's good that we start this podcast and give everyone an idea of what's really going on. It's activism. This is us three pushing back. They came into this comments. It came to our front yard. We didn't start it. We're just pushing back and correcting the record here. Remember.
Yeah, no,
Go ahead.
This is what's awesome about the podcast, John. is because we literally have a police officer, we have an oil field guy, and we had a student here, and we have 3 different demographics of, basically what the United States is. And Jake, do you work in the oil field now, or where are you at? Like, as for
so I'm actually technically laid off. I'm working for a chemical company right now, but I was working for BJ Services and what was the other name of that company? I was working for BJ and OptiPlen for like about 4 years, 5 years. So I mean, I was in the oil field, but just recently it's really slowed down. The oil field's
just
really
basic
slowed down.
Americans, though. That's all 3 of us are.
Yeah.
And I think John drives truck now. I drive truck. And the thing about it is we're just we're at the bottom level. I mean, it's not like we're all a bunch of freaking millionaires or something trying to convince people like, oh, well, you better think the way we do, because if you don't think the way we do, and it's insane. And I mean, Evanston's a great place. It's a great place to raise my kids. I'm still really happy with the school systems. They're not teaching the kids anything too terribly radical. They had a vote the other day in school as to who would vote for president, just kind of teaching the kids about it. And even the teacher voted for Donald Trump. My son did too, so he was pretty happy about it. But it's cool that we can live in an area like that. But still, just like, which we won't touch on for very long because it's a long subject. But with the detention center they want to put here in Evanston, it's insane how many freaking crazy radical liberals are in our town and function against us, and how many of these people just hate my guts at this point. They just wish I would shut up and just go away. And I'm telling you, I want to shut up and go away, but because we contribute to the community, because we're public servants in a way, we provide a service to the community. You just walk around with a big target on yourself, and my goodness, some of the stuff I get, like messages. This little old lady the other day was going to kick my ass. She was going to beat me so badly. Like, it's just because I won't shut up. You don't shut up. You don't go away, Mr. Pence. We're sick of seeing you. Like, nope. Okay, well then I'm not going away, because if I'm irritating you that bad, then maybe I am doing something good here. Maybe I actually need to keep going.
Hey, a theme I want to. No, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
I was going to say we talked about that quite extensively last week on this because of how radical it has gotten, because we've been following it, and it's just crazy. But go ahead, Jacob.
But just to delve into that point, Johnny.
Go ahead.
It's crazy. No, well, I just want to make a quick point just to what you were saying. Those actual people like we talk about, they bring up crazy stuff like our beautiful town of Evanston, like it's Florence or it's Venice or something. And it's like, dude, that ICE facility is gonna look no different than those old buildings in the snow and the sagebrush. Like they have like these cocooned ideas that are so untethered to reality. Like it's cool that we listen to what they have to say, but it's like, dude, Evanston isn't Jackson Hole. It's not Aspen, Colorado. It's not freaking Ketchum, Idaho. It's Evanston, Wyoming. This is a perfect place for an ICE facility center. But they just, our beautiful town. It's like, it's like Ketchum, Idaho and Sun Valley, or it's like Bozeman, Montana, or it's like, oh my God. Well, and see, it's like Port City.
We started a Facebook group called YO Say Yes. Me and my wife did. And now we have other administrators. One of the people, I don't want to name names just because I don't know if they want me to or not, but
sure.
Some of the people who used to be on the city council are on there. We have some big names on there that are actually administrators to the page, and it stayed really, really positive, and we've made sure of that. But what's crazy is how hard they've come at me and my wife. Like, they're trying to out us. And luckily there's a kid named David Dickerson. I don't know if either of you guys know him.
Yeah,
he runs the YO Say No page, who's against the detention center. But I was able to talk to him, and we are actually talking on Messenger, and he's an administrator for their page, and he's stopping some of that. And I'm doing the same on mine, because they've tried to call me and my wife out. They're trying to post our phone numbers, our address, which he took that down. And then another gal got on there, and she started going after me and my wife. I'll even say her name, Lindsay Bumgardner. She got on there and she said some terrible things about us, about how we run the car show and things. And David was able to take that down, which is really good, because now we have a communication between both pages that, like, look, the conversation is about whether we want the detention center or not so much where people live and stuff. Like, if somebody shows up at my house in the middle of the night, we have guns and stuff. It's probably not a good idea. I'm not too worried about it. But it is really crazy how petty some of these people get, and they have tried to come after me. They've tried to come after my wife. And my wife's the sweetest person. If you are watching anything that I do, you really never see her much. She's super quiet. She doesn't like getting out like this. She, like I do. Like, I'm very boisterous. I'll make videos. I do rant videos. I do all this stuff. And everybody's always says, well, why doesn't she get involved? Well, that's just not who my wife is. She's more calm. She follows what I say. She believes in everything that I do say. But she's more, laid back, more conservative with this kind of stuff, and it's not fair. And it's an ugly way to try to wage war with people you don't agree with. Call me. If somebody called me, they'd get an earful, because I'm probably the loudest person I know. I'm most opinionated person I know. But yeah, it's gotten pretty ugly a few times, and I don't feel like that's productive on either side to do that, to try to out people, to try to give out their phone numbers, to try to tell people where to go if they want to come to your house and stuff. And it's happening in Evanston, of all places. Just like you said, we are not special. Our town is beautiful, and I love our town. I love our city council. I love our police department. John Kirby and all them have been nothing but an amazing asset to our car show.
Mm-hmm.
Officer Pearson, he comes down every single year and helps us and stuff. I love the county commissioners. They're all really great. Mark Anderson, who's actually our age, he's been kind of trickling some information to me about the Core Civic. But just to kind of end that conversation, because I know that's not what this was about. Core Civic came to Evanston, and they did this wonderful presentation. It was beautiful. They had a PowerPoint. They brought all the people, including the contractors that are going to build the place. They even showed detailed pictures of what it would look like from the highway, and you can't even see it hardly from the highway unless it's nighttime and the lights are glowing slightly. But they've even made it so that all the lights are facing down, so that there isn't much light pollution from the detention center. I mean, they have covered all the bases, and these people were so wonderful. We posted a video of that Core Civic conversation on the YO Say Yes page on Facebook, and man, these people. One thing, just real quick, that they said that our current water facilities may not be enough to keep up with the facility, right? And so a lady got on there and she started saying, well, what if it isn't? What if it can't keep up? How are we going to do this? You're just going to leave us with the cost and all this? And I said, no. As a matter of fact, when we buy the property, we're actually going to build you guys another water treatment plant so that we can actually facilitate our And I'm just sitting here like, how do we say no to this? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So comments, John?
Yeah.
Any comments? Or?
Yeah, let me go back up here. We'll put this up again. He voted, Mr. Red Life voted for Trump and supports him, but there's a gripe. But is there a gripe you have with him? Something you're not happy about? Because he has one. And here's his gripe is he wishes he'd go after the Clintons harder. Man, I'm with you. I'm with you there, Mr. Ed. I am with you 100%. I don't know why we're pussyfooting around this whole Clinton, this whole thing, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Hopefully something. Everybody, I think, at least everybody that I talk to is in agreement with this. It's like, how do they get away and just keep getting away with the things that they do? So, yeah, that's my comment on it. You guys?
My quick comment is just here I'm not in Texas right now, but where I live in Texas, he needs to do more about building the wall. And I understand that, he's having some fights in the courts and this and that, but there's a lot of executive orders he could do to go around that. And if I have a gripe with Trump, and believe me, I have 100 nice things to say, probably 2 things negative to say. And I'd say he needs to honor his core promise and build the wall. He has to do that. He had a Republican-controlled House and Senate when he first got there. He needs to honor his voters and constituents' wishes to build the wall. He has to stop dragging his feet. He has to do that. I think his reelection is pretty much secured unless something major happens. But if he doesn't build that wall in his second term, it's like, oh man, that was his core promise for everything. I mean, he had a lot of promises, but that was his core promise. A
lot of his promises he's followed through with.
Yes, he has.
Not that one. Mm-hmm. Not at this point that we're aware of.
Yeah, but he could still build it. But that's a minor. That's all I have. But I have 100 nice things to say about him. We have that link and the promises kept.com calm that could show everyone all the good he's doing. He's doing a lot of good.
Well, and
How about
I
you,
actually,
Jonny?
I fully agree with you, Jake, on that. He has built a lot of wall, and what's cool is a lot of citizens are building the wall now too. They're raising money to do that, which is kind of cool because he got the conversation going. And regardless, a lot of sections of wall are being built. If I had to say one thing I had a gripe with Donald Trump about, it's the same thing I've had to learn. It's once you become a public figure, and again, in our tiny little town here, me and my wife have become public figures. Everyone's going to try to get their shots in on you. It's not a good thing. Okay. In a lot of ways, it's not good to become a public figure. Well, Donald Trump has become a public figure, and he does the same thing as me. He gets upset about something, and I take to Facebook, he takes to Twitter. Then I'm like, oh, this person said this. And I had a public official come to me the other day and kind of talk me through this. And they said that, look, you don't need to defend yourself all the time. You don't actually need to say everything that comes along the pipeline, because a lot of these people are irrelevant. The people themselves making the comments are irrelevant. And if I had a gripe, I would say there are some things that he tweets out that I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
Everyone could have been better off without that. Probably. I think you probably should have let that one roll off just a little bit, man. Like, I wish he wouldn't tweet about every single thing. I mean, honestly, because he doesn't have to defend himself. His record's doing it for him.
And I agree with that. That other thing that I was going to say was just that, but I'm opposite of what I say and what I think, because I think sometimes, like Jonny just said, he tweets too much. But I like the fact that he does, because we're getting the story. So it's like, police yourself a little bit, Mr. President. Like you said, we just didn't really need to know that. But
yeah,
so sometimes I think
after that Greta girl.
Right. Sometimes I think he shouldn't be doing it. And then I sit back and I think about what I'm just thinking about. And it's like, no, I like the fact that he does, because if he didn't, we wouldn't have a clue his thoughts or anything, because the media is so twisted that there is no way we're going to get the real Donald Trump through our mainstream media. So that would be my gripe as well. He made a ton of promises coming in, and he's, as far as I can see and what I'm seeing, he has fallen through with a good majority of those, and he's doing a lot of other stuff too. So I think, like everybody else said, there's a lot of good to be said. But yeah, I think everybody probably has a few gripes, and a lot of the gripes that I hear are the things that he says sometimes, and then his tweets as well. So that's kind of a commonality across the board, I think.
Absolutely.
Any other comments?
Oh, that was it for now.
That was
caught up
for now. Yeah, just to throw my hat in the ring with the Trump comments. Yeah, John mentioned a great point that he needs to go around the fake news media. That's where Twitter's been really effective. But when he goes after some of these Hollywood celebrities and stuff like that, he can stop a little bit.
Oh, he calls them right out. Bam.
Yeah. For me personally, it's entertaining. I love it, but I'm not the whole entire country. Okay, I'm not the whole entire country. I love when he does that, because I hate those people. That's one reason I love Trump, is he goes after people like in the far left activists and stuff. I'm all yeah. But for in terms of a president and like the whole decorum, I can see why people have a problem with that. But me personally, I freaking love it.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it I enjoy quite thoroughly, but it's like you don't necessarily have to punch down all the time. Like, some of it is punching down, and it's like I know you have better things to do with your day than that. Like, how about when Henri asked Greta Thunberg or whatever, instead of going after her, why don't we talk about the wall some more or something? Like, you don't have to say nothing about her. She looks Henri, so that's
Well, okay, so Bill O'Reilly, I want to comment. This is perfectly relevant what we're talking about. Bill O'Reilly wrote this book. It's called the How Trump Sees America. I forgot what the title was. Anyway, in part of that book, what he talked about is the reason he does that. I didn't know this until I read that Bill O'Reilly book, is the reason he goes after people in these Twitter battles is to distract the media. So his cabinet members, like the EPA director, housing and energy, they can get real work done without being interfered. In other words, he's clearing the path for all his people so they can be focused on the minutia and all the stupid stuff. And then he clears the path for all of his cabinet members. See, a lot of people don't realize part of it because he goes after people, but another part of it is he wants all his workers to be focused and on the mission. He wants everyone to be locked and loaded, ready to work, instead of the media interfering with their every little thing. Instead, they're going after him for tweeting about Greta Thunberg and stuff, which is great. But yeah, that's United States of Trump is the book. That's, I forgot for a second. The United States of Trump, Bill O'Reilly. I'll cite that.
I have heard pieces out of that book, listening to talk radio during the day while I'm driving along. I listen to a lot of that. I get bored with the music and I'll listen to a lot of talk radio and podcasts and this type of stuff. And in 10 to 12 hours, you can go through a lot of different things. John,
it's
knows.
True. No, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we, I think we covered it pretty good. There's certainly a lot of concern with 2020. There's a lot of speculation, and of course, you got the never Trumpers, and he won't, but I really think, here's my personal opinion on it. I really think he's got it sewed up thanks to what he's done, but also I think probably more so is the shit stirring show that the Democrats have created. I think has done nothing but locked him in. I think it's been the best thing that happened for his 2020 election. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimated Donald Trump. I mean, honestly, if for as far as him being a good president, being reelected and stuff, I think a lot of people really underestimated Donald Trump and his ability to fight with people, his ability to get things done. I would say even Republicans underestimated him. There's a lot of people underestimated him, man. And he's just showing us, like, man, he can fight off people, he can get stuff done, we're all pretty impressed with him. And I know a lot of moderate people, they're like, there's no way I'm voting for someone like Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. They're like, there's no way I'm voting for them. And they're not even Trump supporters. They're just like, I'll just go with Trump because the opposition's so weak.
Here's a few more comments. Let's put them up.
Okay.
Well, we're in our kind of closing. Let's address these. What do you guys think about Trump wanting to put the Mexican drug lords on a terrorist watch list?
Okay, so I can't comment on this. There's talks about this in Texas. I can't remember what the acronym's called. You put the cartels on the terrorist watch list, and we can go in and invade. What they're talking about is a potential annexation of Mexico. Now, this is just talk, but they're talking about going in with drones and striking these all the cartel. And if Mexico tries to fight them back, they're talking about rolling tanks into Mexico and saying, stop us. And they're possibly talking about turning Mexico into a territory, a U.S. territory, even if they won't allow them to fight these terrorists off. Yeah, it's getting real heated up down in Texas. That's my comment to his.
Especially down on the southern end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like McAllen, it's getting hot and heated down there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's why they want the detention center here in Evanston, because of the I-80 corridor that goes through here. I think the cartels have got that sewed up.
Oh, yeah.
And I've done a lot of thinking about it. Why Evanston? It's even running rampant here, and it's because it's all over the United States. And these people are terrorists. The things they do, the way they act. I do think they need to put the drug cartels on there, but right next to that, I think they need to put Antifa on there as well. Those are, homegrown terrorists. But
good freaking point, Johnny. Good point. Good point.
Yeah, because they're terrible people and they're doing terrible things. And just watching them on TV makes me sick. It makes me angry to the point where I want to grab a group of guys, go find these guys, and when you're inspiring that kind of anger, and you're inspiring that kind of hate, you're a terrorism group. I mean, really, what are they doing in Seattle? Just all over the place. shutting down roads. They're all kinds of terrible things. They attacked that one journalist, and I mean, let's just be real. These people are terrorists. I mean, obviously, their local municipalities, their local governments, all this, they're allowing it. They're allowing it to happen. They're telling the police to stand down when it happens. But at the same time, these people are terrorists. You cover your face and go to an event, it's because you don't want to get arrested for the stupid crap you're about to do. But I mean, just to touch on it real quick, back to the Mexican one. We called him Grandpa. He was a friend of our family, and we called him Grandpa. He worked for a guy up here that owned a bunch of Mexican restaurants, and his job, he would get paid nearly $1,000 a head to drive into Nevada, to Arizona, pick these people up. They would just be sitting by the side of the road somewhere. He'd pick them up, drive them to Evanston. Those people would get here, and then they become slaves for the cartel. They tell them, well, you're going to work for $3 an hour, and we're going to provide you a place to live, and everything's going to be really great for you. But remember, no one knows you're here. You're not here legally, and we can make you disappear. And so I know that happens here, even in Evanston, of all places. Could you imagine what that kind of stuff is like in Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Arizona? Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas,
They use their own people, and they are terrible to their own people. It makes me wonder if there was a statistic out there, if they could figure it out somehow, which I know they could. How many of the Mexican people, or of Mexican descent, Mexican Americans, how many of them would agree with this? Because I can guarantee you it would be a vast majority of these people, because they knew family members or friends that were brought here by the cartels to work specifically. I mean, in human trafficking and jobs and all this other stuff, to work for basically pennies, because they know, nobody knows you're here, and we'll make you disappear too. And these people are deathly afraid of the cartel, and they have all the right in the world to be too, because I'm not going to get chopped up with a machete.
No, they're pretty dangerous. They're pretty dangerous. Not much different than the third world terrorists. Same.
That's what they are.
Same.
Okay. By the way, the acronym's called an AUMF, an authorized use of military force. If you are considered an international terrorist or domestic terrorist in the case of Antifa, if you're a domestic terrorist like Antifa or international terrorist, we have an international agreement, AUMC, I think, authorized use of military. No, AUMF, authorized use of military force. We have designated the United States, the whole world, other than maybe China or a few other countries. They've all agreed the United States has the green light to go in and drone strike if any international terrorist organizations. If they designate the cartel, they can internationally legally, not United States, they go in and drone strike them. But they're thinking that might cause some problems domestically, like civil unrest. So they're talking about, I don't know, it's getting heated down in Texas in that. The talk's getting real heated in that. But as far as Antifa goes, they could get the National Guard. Like that guy in Portland, everyone, for those of you guys who don't know, Portland they have a mayor. He's also the chief of police, and he allows Antifa to attack people, and he tells the police to stand down. It's some old law that goes way back into Oregon. I don't know why, but the cops aren't allowed to intervene. But all it takes is Trump to do a National Guard, go in there, roll some boys in there. They could take care of Antifa real quick. And the thing is, compared to the National Guard, I mean, they'd get their swing cut off so fast. I mean, it's not even funny. They could deball Antifa like that. I think Trump is starting to look more and more into Antifa because they're slowly becoming a domestic terrorist group
and slowly becoming larger. Need to nip it.
But see, the media doesn't cover it though. So it's not going into the collective zeitgeist, like the collective American thought process, because they're not covered in the news. It's under, it's the minor news, like through social media. Nobody's talking about it really in the major news hubs. That's why most Americans don't know about it. Yeah, so it's UMF or I just forgot it. But anyway, they can go back and rewind the podcast of what it is. But yeah, it is an agreement we have with the international community. We can go in and drone strike Mexican cartels and, for that matter, terrorist groups, wherever else they are in the world.
AUMF, does that sound right?
Thank you, AUMF. Thank you.
Authorized.
Yeah, they're terrible people. And they are. I mean,
yeah.
So
it's a fact. Well, you guys, We're an hour and 10 minutes in. I think we can wrap her up. I think this was a good show.
Yeah,
think it
I
went
enjoy
well.
talking with you guys.
It's always fun. I enjoy it too. It's always fun.
Can't
and
wait
it was
till
good
next
to have
week,
Jonny
man.
here today.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
We missed you, man.
I got a lot of family stuff going on, so
Yeah.
it's been kind of difficult, but I'm working it, guys. I'm trying.
Yeah, you're in a little different position than we are. I'm old and my kids are raised. Jacob don't have any, so
I don't have any, so
I had 4
I'm
at one
open.
time. I know
Come
what
on,
it's
Jacob.
like.
You got to get on top of it, buddy.
Get on top of it, yeah.
That's
Best
right.
thing I ever did in my life. My boys, the best thing I ever did in my life, man.
That's right, man.
Yeah,
Now this time I just need to release these next few times.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
my
I'm
boys,
getting a little
the
old,
biggest
so
thing I
that's
ever
not that's something I should be thinking about, because I'm getting up there. I'm 35 now. It's even though I don't have eggs. I mean, that's still I guess they say like
man.
older men, like they say, like the older you get, there's links to autism. Like if you're in their 40s and 50s, you have offspring, there's links to autism when you're older. It's not confirmed, but it's a strong hypothesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but cherish those kids there, Mr. Jonny. They grow up so fast.
Yeah,
it's
man.
crazy. I
Best
can't
thing
believe
I ever
I'm
did in my
sitting
whole
here.
life. Yeah.
Sitting here with my youngest being 27. It's crazy.
Holy.
So that's the youngest.
Wow, man.
And I ain't that old. I'm a young man still. I just have this gray shit, You're only as old as you let yourself be, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't grow a beard and a mustache, because it's all pure white.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Everybody that came on, everybody that'll watch us later, thank you. We look forward to seeing you next week. Let's see, we good next week? Maybe Christmas week. We'll take a week off. I think we're good next week, huh? For
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
and then maybe
Same time.
we'll discuss it, but maybe Christmas week we'll just take that week off.
That's
Not
probably
have a show.
best for all our viewers, families, and everybody. That's probably best, man.
Yeah. So thanks everybody.
Great show.
We'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks,
Take
everybody.
care, guys.